How was the in-law visit?
Gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the universe.
You mean our guest tonight is
Dedicated to truth, justice, and peace. It's the world's greatest superpower show.
All right, welcome to Minding the Multiverse. My name is Gabriel.
And I'm Jeremy.
And we are here to talk about comics, culture, and the question, if Wonder Woman got her lasso around you and made you divulge your most embarrassing middle school moment, how far would you have to move away from everyone you know to set up your new life?
What's middle school, by the way?
That is, for me, it was 6th, 7th, and 8th.
6th, 7th, and 8th. Well, I can't honestly remember much from then, so I'd actually welcome the lasso and remind me of what the hell I was doing. Because I don't know.
How many miles away is the moon? That's how far I would have to go.
Many miles away.
But you just, escorted 3 young men through, and I feel I should be specific here, your sons.
Yes.
Not just 3 random young men. But I mean, you just got your sons through the middle school period. Is it still as traumatic as it used to be?
We went to such different schools. We went to such a I can't even say the word rural. We went to
feel your inner country when you say it. Rural.
Yeah, rural. and it was such a small school, and the boys, we live in the city, so their school experience was really a lot different than mine.
I bet.
They did okay though. Like, we didn't have a lot of bullying issues, which is nice. It was good. They did all right. High school now with COVID, much different. It's much harder.
Yeah.
They're missing their friends. Not a lot of opportunities to do something embarrassing actually, because they're just always home.
All right, well, speaking of embarrassing and possibly Geneva Convention defying, this week we're covering Justice League Identity Crisis from 2004, or as I like to call it, Justice League SVU.
Oh man, SVU. My wife loves that show, and it's so depressing that I don't watch it with her. So this is going to be a ride.
Yeah, it's but if you know the beats of a Dick Wolf production,
oh yeah,
you'll be able to follow along. All right, this was published by DC. It ran for 7 issues, again back in 2004. Written by Brad Meltzer and art by Rags Morales. And the back of the trade has a nice synopsis, and I thought I would just read it to get us started.
Nice.
So, quote, "When Sue Dibney, wife of the elongated man, is murdered in her own home, the superhero community is devastated. They come together in mourning, hold their loved ones closer, and immediately begin a worldwide search to find her killer. But a handful of heroes think they already know who murdered Sue Dibney. Years ago, to protect Sue and others like her, Green Arrow, Hawkman, Black Canary, the Atom, and Zatanna crossed a line. Now their long-buried secret will break the superhero community apart."
Yeah, very, very dramatic.
Yeah,
very not comic book like.
No, this is much more daytime drama.
Yes.
And we'll cut the dramatic soap opera music because this is a little bit of a cooking show too, because we find out what kind of melange you end up with when you stir up 2 parts scapegoat and 1 whole red herring, head and all. So let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
All right, so this story directly revolves around the death of Sue Dibney, and she is the wife and continuous collateral damage of a superhero that goes by the name of the Elongated Man.
Nice.
Because that's how they named superheroes in the 60s. But mostly, this is a story about heroes being vulnerable through the lives of their loved ones, the secrets those people are forced to carry, and the blind spots they can develop over a lifetime of watching out for threats, only coming from the outside.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man has a point, right? He's always worried about Aunt May and Mary Jane. Like, there's a reason.
And a lot of this story revolves around the secret identity. You know, the reason that you have the goofy costume, the lengths you'll go to protect, that secret, because it's kind of like the only one.
Yeah.
It's the most important one.
It's the most important one, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see the lengths they go to protect that. That's another core thread of this story. This is also the story of Dr. Light, and Dr. Light was IGN's 84th greatest comic villain of all time.
Wow.
He is a character who has been transformed over his narrative lifetime from serious menace to pitiful comedic foil. So, for example, in the 60s, Dr. Light captures the entire Justice League and sends them all to different planets based on their weaknesses.
Damn.
That's pretty heavy duty.
Yeah, that's an accomplishment for sure.
That is a real thing. That's a real supervillain move. And the only way they got out of it is somehow Batman was pretending to be Superman and Superman was pretending to be Batman. And so they went to opposite planets and Batman was able to get away from the kryptonite and Superman was able to conquer his crippling abandonment issues, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where Batman got sent.
Plot armor is strong.
Yeah. How do you get in and out of this thing? Now, by the 80s, Dr. Light is handily defeated by Little Boy Blue and his Blue Boys, a group of non-superpowered children. So just how did Dr. Light go from being someone who could capture the entire Justice League to being someone who gets roughed up by the cast of Newsies?
No shit. And by the way, Little Boy Blue and his Blue Boys.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
This must have been pre-Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Miss Muffet. Anyway.
Yeah, before we get a copyright strike.
No kidding.
All right, so we start off the story with the death of Sue Dibney, and it's told over the course of the first issue. And it's established early that Ralph Dibney and his wife are very much in love. And they are also out of the closet, as it were, as a superhero couple. They are minor tabloid stars and are known as being a model golden age couple. So he goes out and fights the good fight while she stays home to be the supporting wife.
Super dangerous. Not a good idea. Nope.
Yeah, we see.
Nope.
Pans out. Now, their home, like all of the other JLA families, is locked up like space Fort Knox. It's layers and layers and layers of technology. And Ollie has a great line in it that I shared with you while I was doing this, that he lists all the, the Thanagarian and the Apocalyptian, all the different layers of tech, and he ends it with, and then there's the really scary stuff that Bruce put on there.
Right. Like, okay, yeah. All that cool shit from outer space is great, but Batman... Yeah,
is scary.
It's scary.
Batman doesn't believe in the freedom of information requests. Like he's a pretty black box kind of guy. But they're saying these houses are secure. I mean these if you're the family of a super, you don't live in like a regular house. Even Ma and Pa Kent being A, protected by Superman, B, no one knows Superman's secret identity. Even their place is completely locked down, from any kind of threat.
Yeah, I can imagine this like a push of a button and it just locks up tight.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're safe. And it has the same tech that's in the Justice League satellite, which is another place that Sue Dibney liked to go and hang out just for kind of a change of scenery. Because I know, like, if I could just go to space, I would.
I mean, who wouldn't?
That's right. I'd go to like Chipotle, grab a burrito, and then go to space and eat it, like if I had the option. But we learned about one of these occasions during a flashback during the second issue. So at some point many years ago, it's not super clear, but it's a few versions of the JLA back. Okay, so we're kind of pulling some older characters here, but at some point, Dr. Light was able to find a way onto the Justice League satellite. And he has some kind of minor teleportation light-based powers, so
Sure, right.
we think that was how he was able to do it.
Sure,
but
he found a chink. Yeah,
sure, yeah, and as a supervillain, you would just continuously try.
of
I would imagine you're constantly trying to get onto the satellite, and he may have gone on there before. Who knows? He may have wandered around and peed in the coffee pot at some point.
Or
like
worse.
No one knows, right? I'd hope there was cameras. on the
Well, no one's
satellite.
getting in. What do you need cameras for if no one's getting in?
Batman lives there. Like, I imagine they just follow him.
Yeah, who knows what fetishes he has?
Yeah,
Anyway.
they're not good. I can guarantee that. Now, no one knows what Dr. Light's original intent was when he was able to get aboard the satellite. But what he found when he got there was Sue alone looking at the stars while everyone else was off saving the world. And Sue was then attacked by Dr. Light. And she's able to call for help, but not before the damage was done. And he is caught mid-act by a group of people you don't ever want to be caught by in that act. And what ensues is a world-class, reality-bending ass-whooping.
A serious trouncing, you might say.
Yeah, like you have the A-list coming through and walking into that. He's lucky he still has limbs on him.
Right.
Yeah, if this were Dynamite, he wouldn't. But important to this narrative is it takes everyone shy of Superman, who is still off planet. It takes everyone to take down Dr. Light. Now, they do it. They're able to subdue him. They have him captured. And what follows is a vote. And it's a vote that splits the voters into two diametrically opposed camps and ruins almost all of their relationships.
Wow.
And it's a good thing that can only happen in comics.
Yeah.
So the vote in question is this. Do we make him forget tonight, or do we make him forget who he is? And the JLA is split, but finally come to a decision. Dr. Light isn't salvageable, and they won't kill him. That's too far. So they decide to nerf him just a little in his brain to turn the evil down to a more manageable level.
Only superheroes would come up with some lame-ass plan to only make somebody a little less bad than totally taking them out. Yeah, how many people does the Joker have to kill before Batman finally takes him out? Yeah, that kind of question.
Right, and why no brain bleach for Joker?
Right.
Like, that seems applicable. I mean, if you're already starting with crazy, like, just wipe it.
Right.
Like, who cares?
Yeah, wipe it out of his skull. How about? I mean, you know,
it's fine.
It's okay.
He slipped on it. It's fine.
The world will be like, they killed him. Oh, good.
And if Joker's fate was like Dr. Light, the result is he becomes a training dummy for essentially every teen group that comes along.
Jesus.
And he never puts the two and two together. He's not smart enough now by design. He's just a dummy.
Right.
Now, Ralph Dibny was one of the members who didn't vote, but was aware of the outcome. Now, understandably, Ralph was busy taking his wife to the hospital after the dust had settled and Light was subdued. Now, Ralph kept this secret, but it changed the way he carried himself as a superhero. He semi-retired, going from full-time to just consulting as a detective. And so he's seen as like a part-time, less psychotic alternative to calling on Plastic Man.
Okay.
Now, after the funeral, all of the supers break off into groups to go hunt their suspects du jour. So some of them have plans. Some of them are just going to beat up the first supervillain they find and just work their way up. Ralph peels off the original group of brain bleachers and says what they're all thinking. We need to find Dr. Light. And the theory is, if he ends up remembering what happened, not only will he be pissed, but he'll also be a super genius again, and they'll have a real problem on their hands. And I'm just going to put a little foreshadowing asterisk right here for later. So they're able to find Dr. Light's assisted living hideout. We just see a dumpy apartment exterior. But when the team charges in, they are met at the door by Deathstroke. Now,
okay.
Dr. Light was tipped off by the Calculator. Yes, the Calculator. Who in this storyline acts like the evil version of Oracle.
Okay.
So he traffics in information and connects people like hitmen and their targets, things like that.
I've never even heard of the Calculator.
He's old school. He's been around again, C-lists, and in this story, he's finally realized that he was a better planner than a fighter.
Right.
So now he just is in a room surrounded by computers and he gets people information.
I was trying to come up with something clever to say about Texas Instruments, but I can't. It's beyond me.
Yeah, if I took any kind of advanced math classes, I might have some
right
TI-88 jokes, but I don't. I just don't.
How about this? His cape says 80085.
That's his super villain signature. Hey, turn it upside down. Check it out. Okay, so Dr. Light ends up spending all of his money to buy protection because he finds out from the Calculator that the Justice League is coming after you and you're their first suspect. So you need to gear up because you're Dr. Light and you're an idiot. Now, this is money well spent because Deathstroke is kind of a badass. Like he's a real threat, and he quickly dispatches the entire team using very specific attacks based on the power set of whomever he's fighting. So, for example, he grabs Green Lantern's hands and breaks all of his fingers.
Nice.
Now, Green Lantern is one of the most powerful weapons in the universe. So, I'm asking you this. How do you think Slade was able to break his fingers?
When was this again? This was in the... When did this take place?
Kyle Rayner.
Oh, okay. Yellow, right?
Yellow gloves.
Yeah, okay. Right. It's like Green Lantern, they had that yellow thing. Like, if they fought anybody colored gold, they had no power over them. It's silly shit like that.
Yep. So, Deathstroke is wearing yellow gloves.
Awesome.
And Kyle is completely helpless.
Of course. Here's Big Bird hands, and you're freaking done for.
Now, Deathstroke is also trying to get Kyle's ring off because he wants to give it a whirl.
Well, sure. Who wouldn't? I mean, that's amazing, right?
My first instinct.
Yeah.
But Ollie, who's Green Arrow, pops up from behind and jams a friggin' arrow into Deathstroke's friggin' eye. A mystery to me, though, is he picked the bad eye. I guess it's just to like not be a complete dick.
Like, oh, now you're blind. I guess that would have been too smart of the heroes to do to take out bad guys. But okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, all right, I destroyed your dead eye. Like, all right.
Yeah, it just causes him some pain. Like it's already
That's the whole deal. Is it causes him excruciating pain. That was the point. And this sends Deathstroke into an actual rage, and he's deviating from plan now, which was the point. That was Ollie's goal.
Right.
Now, this display of rage also triggers a memory in Dr. Light, who at this point is cowering in the doorway. So he sees the same team fighting together to take down Slade is the same team who banded together to take him down. And this case of deja vu is strong enough to crack the lock they put on his brain, and he lets loose. Rags Morales does a really great minimalist take on this. It's a full page of pure light and not like a lazy white fill. You know, like that would be easy.
Right.
It is a much more representative of raw, powerful, intense sunlight. It's like a really nice gradient, but it is very intense. And a face almost lost in that wash of light.
Right.
A very, very angry face.
He has remembered.
Yeah. And you remember that little asterisk I put up
Oh, yeah.
a little earlier? I'm just going to go back there and high five that real quick. Because now Dr. Light is an actual threat. Next, we find out that Dr. Light was not an isolated case. So the Zatanna Mind Wipe special became the Pringles of crime fighting. Once they popped, they couldn't stop.
They're like, hey, this works.
Yes, they started using it all the time. They used it every time one of their secret identities got out, because at that point, they were able to justify it. And you find out that they've done it to each other.
Ooh, no.
That's a line.
That's big bad no.
And we find out there was someone else who knew about what happened to Dr. Light, except now he can't remember it. Batman objected violently to what was being done to Dr. Light, so they made him forget.
That's the worst person in the world to fuck with.
Yeah, I personally would not mess with Batman's noodle.
No,
he seems fragile and punchy.
He's already completely bonkers.
He is a half step outside of Arkham.
Yep.
Right now.
Yep. He's a genius, insane person. It's just lucky that it's pointed towards the bad guys of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For now. So after Dr. Light goes nuclear, the team loses track of him. Now, he didn't send out like an energy blast. It was literally all light. So they just were all blinded, knocked out kind of thing. So
yeah, it wasn't like an attack. It was just
it was like a
flash.
freak out. Yeah.
It was he flashbanged and jumped out the window.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah. But don't worry, because remember that delicious red herring I was talking about earlier?
Right.
Well, it's done. Enjoy. In the meantime, the story shifts to dueling dad stories. We have Jack Drake and George Harkness. And Jack is an old school adventurer and the father of the current Robin, Tim Drake. George Harkness is otherwise known as Captain Boomerang, who is an aging, out of his prime Flash villain looking to bond with a son he never knew he had. And at the moment, he is accepting any low-level job he can get from the calculator, who is the middleman for these types of deals.
Gotcha.
He's also hoping his son will follow in his footsteps and help him get back on top of the supercrime scene. He's a good dad.
He's a good dad. They just want to, rob and steal together.
It's called bonding.
Good quality time. Yeah, it's bonding, yeah.
Jack, on the other hand, is trying desperately to convince his son to stay home and be safe. And he knows his son's Robin. He's dealing with it.
Right.
But, especially right now, it's not a great time.
Yeah, it's hard to talk insane people out of doing what they do.
Especially when they're friends with Batman.
Mm-hmm. It rubs off. The crazy rubs off.
It's terrible. Like a skunk. So Jack's concern becomes more warranted as there is another attack on the family member of a super. This time it's Jean Loring, a famous lawyer and the ex-wife of the Atom. As she, like Sue, is attacked in her home by an unseen assailant who is able to bypass all of the crazy JLA security measures. And she is hung by a rope from a door and left to die. Now, fortunately, she's able to call for help. And unlike Ralph, the Atom can travel through phone lines at a microscopic scale.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
And is able to get to her before she suffocates. Now, she's safe, but obviously shaken.
Right.
Now, after this, notes start going out to other family members of supers. Lois gets a note saying they know who her husband is and drew a little diamond shape around the S, like his shield. And Jack gets one too. And his note says Jack Drake with the R in red, like Robin's symbol.
Right.
The note is on top of a box that has appeared mysteriously in his kitchen. Inside the box is another note that says protect yourself alongside a loaded pistol.
Oh, jeez.
It's at this point that Jack hears someone inside his home. At that point, he calls Oracle on a device Robin left behind for him, and she patches him directly through to the Batmobile. Now, he tells them everything, and which is, to me, a refreshing change. Like, I'm not going to try to like mysteriously try to hunt down this person in my house. No, he hides in his kitchen and calls Batman. Like, that's what you do. Don't try to defend yourself.
No.
If you know Batman, call him.
You call Batman. Yes.
So he's 4. All right, so he tells them everything like a sane person.
Right.
And that someone is in the house. But he has a gun now, so it's all good.
Just a random gun, though. Like, yeah, this gun totally works.
Yeah, here's a gun I found.
I'm just going to totally trust it.
It's so American. I swear you can hear like a screaming bald eagle in the background in the distance.
No shit. Like, well, since this gun that's not mine, in a box that's not mine, with a note that I didn't write saying to protect myself with this gun is totally okay.
In this box that just appeared in my kitchen.
Totally normal.
Right? Right. Normal American behavior. Yeah. So Batman hears the word gun and floors it back to the Drake home because, Batman has that whole gun thing.
Yep.
But it's too late. Jack and Captain Boomerang, on a job from the calculator, collide in the living room of the Drake home and open fire on each other.
Oh, shit.
Boomerang takes a few slugs to the chest, but before he falls, he's able to whip out a single boomerang and lodges it firmly into Jack's heart.
Oof.
Issue 5 ends with 4 panels of them both just slowly bleeding out all of their blood onto the carpet.
Lovely.
Yeah. It ends in a way that like they're not going to be able to be saved.
Right.
Like it very clearly ends on that.
Yeah, these folks are done for.
Yeah, they're not going to get there in time and save them. These are done.
More importantly, does Captain Boomerang have a special glove to catch these boomerangs that are so damn sharp they can lodge into your chest?
No, but it has to do with how you catch them.
Okay.
There is a scene where he's teaching his son how to use these boomerangs.
Again, bonding.
They literally is. They're in the forest and they're blowing up trees with explosive boomerangs.
Sick.
But it's all about where you hold it. He literally talks about that. Like you hold it like from here. You catch it from here.
That's why Daddy's left hand is a hook.
That's such a great question. Like they actually did address that. I wonder if somewhere there was probably someone at DC who said that same thing.
Yeah, how does he catch these things?
Brad Meltzer's like, God damn it. Okay, listen. Scene.
Well,
forest.
These boomerangs aren't supposed to come back.
A father and son learning how to hold boomerangs. Okay, good. So there actually is a lot of death in this series. It's like,
so far, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Game of Thrones, but with an ending that doesn't make everyone pop veins out of their foreheads. So at this point, everyone is satisfied that Captain Boomerang was behind it all. He's an old school Flash villain who they thought finally got his shit together. But Batman is seen racking his brain in the cave because something doesn't add up.
It never does with bats.
Who stands to gain by targeting the families of supers?
Literally all villains.
Well, if you're a villain, isn't that just going to make the heroes more protective, therefore making your life harder?
I mean, possibly. I would say that, that could break some heroes. If their family members, their loved ones get killed, then some of those heroes that are a thorn in your side might quit. They might say, fuck it, it's not worth it.
They actually cover that a bit in this. We see a lot of heroes who have lost family members, and at one point, Ollie goes to some kind of superhero graveyard where, like, I don't know if they're actual graves or they're memorials,
Right.
but there's a lot. There's a lot of death in this, and part of that is seeing how heroes flex their morality
Right.
in the wake of those events.
Right.
So when the original event with Dr. Light happened, Flash was one of the ones on the fence, and this was right after, I believe, his wife was killed. And he says, do it. Like 6 months ago I would have told you to stop, but Flash now says wipe him.
Yeah, I mean, things change, right? Like bad things happen, and people can get
Right.
harder,
Yes.
or softer, or give up. Yeah, I mean, it really depends, huh?
Yeah. But in this case, what you see a lot of is there's a rubber band effect where one of these events happens. A family member is killed or Super is killed, and the protection measures go into extreme, and the criminal element has to lay low.
Right.
Because everyone's really sensitive right now. Like, Batman's got his special gloves on for punching people tonight. Right. We're gonna stay home.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where Batman's leaning is it doesn't make sense for Captain Boomerang to go after the families because there's no there. Like why hurt people who aren't the Flash if you're a Flash villain?
Right.
Right. Now, in this storyline, really the only people who saw any kind of gains were the surviving family members. And especially in this case, Jean Loring. Now, after her attack, the Atom, her distant ex-husband, was not only spending more time with her, but was actively pursuing a romance with her and was attempting to rekindle that relationship.
All right.
That is until Jean asks him about the note left at the Drake home, something that only the JLA knew about.
Oopsie doopsie.
Something that had not been released to the papers.
Right.
And he asks her how she knows about the note, but his expression says everything.
Oops.
He knows she did it, and now he knows how she did it. So Jean had found one of his old suits and was using it to microscopically bypass the security in the homes of the victims. She also used the suit to stage her own attack.
Oof.
Now, her original motivation was to only hurt Sue to start the ball rolling, to get everyone scared so that they would run back home to their loved ones. She called Sue and traveled through the phone into her ear and stepped on her brain. And it turns out brains are super sensitive to KEDs, and Sue died.
Oh, shit.
Forcing Jean to begin to cover her tracks in increasingly dangerous ways.
Oh, no.
And she gave Jack the gun, assuming he would be able to defend himself against Captain Boomerang.
Like, he'll be fine.
She hired someone cheap, specifically assuming whoever the calculator sent would fuck it up.
Best laid plans, Gene. Best laid plans.
Absolutely. Because it is mentioned numerous times that she is a very intelligent woman. She is a very accomplished lawyer.
Right.
She has an entire life outside of all this superhero business. Who cares? Whatever. She's above it all. Well, she continues to justify her actions by saying it was all for the greater good. Everyone was appreciating their families more, and her and Ray were back together. Yay!
So another unstable, highly insane person thinking what they're doing is okay.
Yes. Good thing this only happens in comics. So Ray, understandably, feels differently and ships her daffy ass off to Arkham. Which also seems kind of overkill.
Arkham is one of those places that, only the worst of the worst go. She's a regular old person.
Yeah, I think regular ass jail would be enough for her. She's in Arkham right now, kicking it with Killer Croc, doing macrame, and that
Right.
seems like a bit much.
That's a bit much. Yeah, as in Killer Croc is going to use her as a friggin' toothpick.
Yes. So we end on the mystery solved. The JLA spends some time with their families. Dr. Light starts scheming at 100% again. And Batman continues a cycle of trauma that can only be described as legendary.
Crazy Batman.
So I want to say, like, this was a tome. And I have really only glossed over it. There's a lot of layers underneath this that can still be appreciated. Brad Meltzer is a New York Times best-selling author, and he loves his words.
Yeah.
And I think he gets them wholesale, too, because he uses all of them. Rags Morales does the art, and it is absolutely jaw-dropping. And
Yeah, you showed me some stuff. This Rags Morales guy, I've seen his other work, too. He's really good.
He is amazing. And his interpretation of the elongated man, whose features by nature are very elastic in a way that makes his expression range like immeasurable.
Right. It could be anything, right.
And to see, the grief and anger and all those really, heavy expressions just played out in a caricature, but that's not silly.
Right.
It's if you were in extreme grief and you couldn't quite control your form, this is what you'd look like. You would just be coming apart.
Yeah.
At the scene.
No, absolutely.
And he really uses that to great effect.
Very nice.
So hopefully I didn't ruin the ending, because there really is a lot to take in here, and it's a trip definitely worth taking. So
yeah, I mean, like you said, if it's really as wordy, as it seems, then there's still questions,
right?
Like how Dr. Light just kind of disappeared. It's like we need to find out a little bit more.
Yeah, it was a really interesting, inner arc there. It seems like that's the path you're going to follow through this whole thing, and then it's done by issue 3.
Nice.
He's out, and then you see him again as a vignette, at the end. It's just a little scene, but that's it. There's a lot there, and if you like your philosophy with a side of capes and matching boots, this will be right up your alley.
Yeah, like you said, SVU with superpowers.
Yes.
I mean, it works.
Exactly. And that's what this feels like. It feels like trying to describe a really dense 2-parter episode of Law and Order.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot there, but I really have to tell you, the crime, the suspect, the red herring, the twist, and the conclusion. Like, that's a lot. There's a lot there. So,
and yeah, it's thoroughly depressing, like every episode of Law and Order SVU as well.
It does. Yeah, you get a sense of justice, but also a sense of wanting to hold a loved one.
Which is the point, just like Gene said. See, it's all for the greater good.
That's right. So really, she's the hero.
She's the hero. Free Gene.
I'm so glad we could end on that. # free Gene. All right. Now we're going to move on to our next segment, the Hold List, where we talk about the other things we're enjoying, comic-related and otherwise. And I'm going to throw it to you, Jeremy. You want to talk a little bit about returning to No Man's Sky.
Yeah, and I'll keep it quick. I'm pretty sure that a large portion of our audience is going to be in the know with this game, but it came out, its initial release was in August of 2016, developed by Hello Games, who prior to this No Man's Sky space exploration simulator game had done little games.
Did they do like Joe Danger or something?
Yeah, to pretty good success. I mean, those games are pretty popular. People like them.
Yes, very different.
Very, very different. Oh, yeah.
These were like little puzzle game
yeah.
kind of things, yeah.
Yeah, this game is way, and to be perfectly honest, based off of the history of this game, it was out of their scope. Like, they promised things that weren't delivered at initial release, and it was a huge disaster.
It felt like a really solid tech demo,
yeah,
without the overall story implemented yet.
Yeah, and this, well, yeah, and I don't think the story has really been all that well implemented. At least like the main exploration goal, as far as I know, is still the same, which is reaching the center of the galaxy. I'll let you all discover what's at the center of the galaxy. I won't ruin that for you.
I still don't know. I've got a significant, and to me, a significant amount of time into this game, and I feel like I'm just still getting chased by aliens on moons, just farting around. I still don't really understand.
And at this point, I don't think that they are, based off of their development updates since release, which has been exemplary. Like they should be.
Yes, that has been impressive.
Absolutely, they should be praised up and down for their free support post-launch. The last 4 years, they've been adding to and upgrading this game, and it's been great. But Definitely. I haven't touched it. I played it. I was hugely disappointed, and I would come back once a year to see if it had changed, and it still hadn't enough for me personally. I still don't like the fact that a planet looks the same across the whole thing. I want, I have my wish list of exploration things, and my number one thing is multiple biomes per planet. But I think that their philosophy is that each system, the planets are different, and there's your multiple biomes per, space, I guess.
Yeah, and even if it were more, even like our solar system, where there are some very, myopic planets that kind of one-trick ponies, and then there's Earth. Yeah. That's super interesting. Even if it were like that, where there's one planet that is, a little bit of everything, and then there's also Mars. That's just red dirt from top to bottom.
Yeah, it's the same across the whole. And I get it. And I know that that's how the majority of planets are. They're all just dead, lifeless hunks of rock.
True.
Or ice, or, just like in the game. And that's fine. But every now and again, you find a planet in a system called a paradise planet. And I feel like that those planets should have multiple biomes. Just like Earth, it's temperate zones, ice zones, poles, all of the biomes you'd expect.
Right. Now, what was your first impression coming back to it? From the gap, seeing kind of the updated biomes and stuff like that.
So it's been good. I've been pleasantly surprised. My middle son wanted to play it. He really likes multiplayer games. I'm not a huge multiplayer gamer, and so he ended up getting it, and I reinstalled. And my first impressions coming back after 4 years is pretty good. I'm going to ignore the main exploration story, and we're just going to hop from system to system until we find a planet we want to build on, because building and making a home base seems to become more of the point of the game. It's been fleshed out like crazy, so it's really nice. It's been good. You played with us a little bit, and it's been a fun experience. At this point, it looks a lot better.
It was super fun. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I had never done No Man's Sky multiplayer, so it was neat doing that.
Yeah, it was my first time as well, yeah.
And that was a seamless experience. I thought I was going to have to find you. No, we just popped in together, which was really nice. I did appreciate that. And I had a lot of fun, even though we didn't do a whole lot. When you're by yourself, you feel more directed.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And sometimes, the on my single player game, I've got all these solar panels. So I kind of have to time things.
Right.
It was getting dark. I got to do this, this, and this before that happens. But when you're in multiplayer, it just kind of becomes goofing around.
Yeah.
You can kind of play around. And I also had fun playing with your son because he's very funny.
Yeah, he's a funny kid.
And I was just laughing my ass off the whole time. And everything that he was naming. I was trying not to laugh because I didn't want to keep encouraging him. But oh my God, he was killing me. Half the memes he sends me on Discord, I'm dying of. I'm like, no, be an adult. Don't laugh.
Yeah, they're freaking horrible, huh? Yeah, he's really funny.
Teenagers are the worst.
I know.
So yeah,
but yeah, man, it's been great. I'm looking forward to playing it more, and that's, I think, the biggest selling point I could say to the people listening is that I am excited to play it some more. Whereas before, I was like, okay, I'm done for now. I'll wait.
Yeah, I remember you had a pretty negative opinion of it at first, and so just this last playthrough, when you're like, oh, this is cool, oh, I like this, like that was nice, like okay, and yeah, the Hello Games has made leaps, and bounds towards repairing their reputation with their community.
Absolutely, they've garnered a lot of goodwill over the last 4 years.
Yeah, and it was about being humble and working hard, and it wasn't nobody threw any tantrums and demanded a recount or anything.
I'm actually wondering, like, it's been 4 years of free updates. I'm wondering when that gravy train is going to stop. Like, when are they going to feel like, okay, we've made up for the launch debacle. Now, after who knows how long, are they going to be like, okay, we're doing another big update, but this time you got to pay for it because it's huge. You know what I mean?
I thought the same thing, because each big update, I think, wow, really? Like
right?
Still?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. For me, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because yes, the update is free, but I have rural internet,
right?
And downloading a 30 gig update randomly is a deal breaker.
Right.
But I thought the same thing. Like I wondered, when is enough? But I also couched that in, I wonder how many sales they've increased by doing this.
Probably a lot. I would imagine a lot.
So each new update you put out, you have, a couple hundred more people. Okay, well, this looks good. Now I'll get it. I heard it's good. Everybody likes it. It's got good ratings on Steam. Kind of like you did. I'll try it again.
Sure. Yeah.
And I wonder how many, like, if that makes it financially viable.
If every single time they're putting out a new update and they're getting a surge in sales, they're probably going to continue this way for a while.
It makes sense. They're the first ones kind of doing it, as far as I know, or at least following that strict of a model, and it might just be paying off.
Yep.
They probably made a huge boon from the first sales that floated them through.
Oh yeah.
The first sets of DLC, and then people like me who've bought the game multiple times. You've bought it multiple times.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if that was the new model.
Right. I know. Right. Yeah. That'd be amazing.
Like,
when are they going to go evil again? Huh? Yeah.
Yeah. When do they get bought by, Bethesda or whatever?
Oh, shit. It's got enough glitches still. I don't want Bethesda to own it. My God.
Yeah. You thought the enormous spaceships in the station was a problem.
Yeah. Those enormous spaceships are kind of terrifying.
Yeah, just a real quick aside to that, for anyone who has played No Man's Sky. When we jumped into multiplayer, I think we started in ships.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you start in space. And so we thought, okay, well, we'll all just meet at the first space station. So we all fly into the first space station. And each of us, in different instances, because on my screen, ship A would look normal, and ship B would be exponentially larger.
Like clipping through the space station, huge.
As in larger than the space station.
Right. And not only did it affect the what it looked like, I could stand on them. Like, if your ship was huge, you were affected physically, whereas the other people weren't.
It had physics. Yeah, wasn't your son launched out of the space station because
pushed out the bottom, like all sorts of crazy shit happened because of those giant spaceships.
It was nuts. It was so when we were playing on Discord, I hear from Jeremy and his son, "Oh my God, that ship is huge!" And I'm looking at it, and it's normal to me, but it's like bigger than the starter ship. And I was like, "Yeah, it's a normal ship. Like, why are you freaking out?" Like, I mean, it's a little bigger, I guess. And then I got an instance of it, and it was like the whole screen just blew up, and I was like, "Ah!" Yeah. That was awesome.
So, even though they've come a long way, sure, it still has its issues, but from where it was to where it is now is 100% different. And so I feel comfortable recommending it at this point. If you haven't checked it out and you're into any kind of survival or space exploration or futuristic kind of games, check it out. No Man's Sky.
Excellent. And do you think like the developers were playing a lot of Rust when they were developing No Man's Sky? Like, we'll make a softer, friendlier, safer version of the apocalypse that is Rust.
I mean, I could be wrong, but if
I'm
you
sure there was a
were,
little crossover.
I'd say no, that he wasn't, because if you were influenced by Rust at all, No Man's Sky would be much more murderous and terrible. Because the Rust is ran on hate and anger. So
it is just like one big hate tank.
Yeah. Like you said, it's the deplorables the game. So, and we're gonna happily go back to that soon, by the way.
Yeah, because there's nothing quite like raiding a troll camp and they don't see it coming. Like just the sounds of impotent rage coming from Midwestern bedrooms all across the nation is just too much to resist.
And here we are talking shit about a game that neither of us have played in years. We have 1,000 hours on Rust, but this was pre-release. This was before it was what it is now.
Yeah, I was still playing the Super Nintendo version of Rust.
Exactly.
Before I had to stop. And I only had to stop because tech-wise I couldn't hack it anymore. I was running it off of an old laptop on an island in the middle of nowhere.
I remember.
Yeah, my graphics card was, cooking s'mores, and my ping was 20,000. Yeah, it wasn't happening.
It'll be an interesting. You'll appreciate it a whole lot more based off your new computer plus the new game itself. It's a whole different ball game. So we'll see how that goes. We'll report back.
Yeah, we'll let you know. Yeah, maybe we'll cover Rust on a hold this item later on, depending on how badly we get abused by. Yeah,
either we're going to report back that it's fun, or we're going to report back that we can't get past naked.
We'll report back that we're done with all video games ever, forever.
People suck.
I hate it. All right. Well, I'm going to move on to my item this week, and just out the gate, I want to start with a preface. Please don't hold this against me. It's just too weird not to share. So this week I'm covering a musical artist. It's a band you can find. I think it's a one-person deal. But it's called Alex Jones Prison Planet. And their latest album is called Corrupt Them All.
Wow.
And it came out this year. Now, the basic idea is this. Alex Jones's best rants set to apocalyptic death metal. It's an unsurprisingly good combination.
I mean, yeah, his voice has the tone, the anger, the crazy. It's all there.
It really is.
Yeah.
Now, first and foremost, this is meant as satire and humor. Neither the artist or I am advocating for Alex Jones or any one of his ilk.
No.
But as someone who grew up going to minister school, I'm a bit of a sucker for a well-structured, if not semi-incoherent rant. There are pros and cons to this particular music project.
But plenty of entertainment, yeah.
Yes. The con is that it's kind of a one-trick pony. It's Alex Jones screaming his head off over brutal death metal. The pro is that that's a pretty good one trick to have.
Right.
The most surprising part to me is that I wanted to keep listening to this and that it didn't get old right away. It feels kind of like Metalocalypse or lesser Tenacious D. The songs are humorous, but the music is also dope as fuck.
Yeah, it's really
keeps
good.
You coming back.
Yeah.
And I think this can kind of join that family of music that is good, but also gives you permission not to take it too seriously. Like, this is fun music, and sometimes, that's what you want.
Yeah, it's kind of like my TV shows. This is why I don't like SVU. I like my music to be fun, not super serious. And here I am telling lies again because I listen to some hardcore stupid shit.
But there is room.
Of course,
there's always room for something that you weren't expecting.
Right.
And this is like the Spanish Inquisition, and nobody was expecting this.
But also kind of obvious, right? I mean, you got somebody
works.
like him who screams and is just aggro all
it
the time.
totally works. It's like
Totally
he's just
works.
doing the worst spoken word album
Right.
ever. All the time.
Angry Shatner? What? Conspiracy theorist out of his damn mind. Angry Shatner.
No,
with
this is more like Yosemite Sam than William Shatner. Shatner's, the velour fog.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah, Alex Jones is, an idiot under a hat.
Right.
So really, I think the best way to describe it is just by listening to it. So I'm right here. I'm going to just play a few seconds from the song Crush the Parasites.
You filth. You absolutely diabolical, deceiving scum. Dumbing this country down to the level of mindless jellyfish. I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that?
He's so crazy. Oh my God.
All right. So one of the main takeaways was that whichever multiverse got the Alex Jones who became a metal singer instead of just an actual dangerous lunatic,
Crazy
really
person, yeah.
lucked out.
Yeah, seriously.
Alex was made for metal. Like, how sometimes you're listening to metal and the lyrics get a little Tolkien-y,
Right.
and it kind of breaks you out of the zone.
Right.
When Alex does it, you really believe that he really believes that space vampires are really out to get you. Alex Jones is a real deal nutbar, and it's a shame that he didn't use his powers for metal evil instead of just actual evil.
It's a window into what could have been.
Really is. And I also don't know if Spotify recommended this to me because I like Metalocalypse or because it knows I live alone out in the woods like most Alex Jones listeners.
Right.
So check out the Alex Jones Prison Planet on Spotify and on Bandcamp.com and begin to both irritate and alienate all of your neighbors and loved ones, much like I have.
You're lucky your neighbors live so far away.
If I didn't have them before, I wouldn't have them now. All right. That leads us to our final section this week, our IRL, Hero of the Week, where we take a moment to spotlight heroes in our own universe. And this week, we're going to cover a favorite and an inspiration to you and your life, Gillian Anderson.
Ooh, yes.
So Gillian Anderson's various TV and film characters have appeared in comics before, but now she's starring in an original comic story for a good cause. The comic, entitled 55, imagines Anderson as a James Bond-style spy, whereas he's 007, she's Agent 55.
Nice.
According to Gary Yap, the writer and artist of this project, quote, 55 is about the search for sanity and truth amidst absolute madness. 55 is a spy in a chaotic world who has seemingly gone rogue, being hunted by a variety of strange and unique characters from her past, other agencies, and even her own former teammates. End quote.
Nice.
Issue number 1 is out now on Comixology and Kindle. 55 physical copies have been personally signed by Gillian Anderson and Gary Yap and will be auctioned off to support the Neurofibromatosis Network.
Nice.
Gillian Anderson has been involved with the organization since the 90s and became chief spokesperson in 2011 after her brother unfortunately passed from the complications due to the disease. Anderson and her mother, Rosemary, both endorsed the 55 comic and consulted with Yap during its creation. So if you're looking for a hit of James Bond, now that the newest film has been pushed again, check out 55. Support a good cause and see a James Bond whose beauty could only be rivaled by OG Sean Connery.
Rest in peace.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that will do it for this week. Next week, wait, do you smell that? Like a combination of Teen Spirit and whatever it was that The Rock was always cooking? That can only mean one thing. That's right. We're heading back to the 90s to cover The Crow from Caliber Press. And
Yes.
special bonus, You won't be able to see it from home, but I assure you, Jeremy will be in full black and white face makeup during his entire discussion.
Yes, absolutely. I am right now. I'm preparing already. So I knew that it was going to be mentioned at the end of today's episode, so I got into character already. I'm really looking forward to it.
Now, are you sure it's the Crow and not Sting from WWE back in the day?
So
very
I'll
similar.
take both because the Crow is awesome and Sting is awesome. So if you don't like Sting, you can go fuck yourself.
All right. Good to know. We're going to end on that. End on that life lesson for everyone. All right, email us at mindingthemultiverse@gmail.com or find us at This Multiverse on Twitter to recommend story arcs, tell us what we're wrong about, or if you have a favorite 90s Magic Eye poster you want to share, let us know about it. We do love getting cross-eyed with strangers.
It's a schooner.
For Minding the Multiverse, I am Gabriel.
And I'm Jeremy.
And remember, all of this is now canon.
Nice.